Hello, I'm Dr. Daria Sharkova, and today we have the seventh episode of our webinars. Houston, we have a solution. This time with Karen Jones, the Executive Director of Global and Graduate Programs at University of Houston Law Center, and we will discuss Houston as a global center of legal education. But before we start talking, Karen, tell us how did you end up in Houston?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, I've lived in several places. I'm originally from Chicago, and I have lived in Texas for almost 20 years. Originally, marriage brought me to Texas, to Dallas, where I went to law school. After I divorced, I stayed in the Houston area and lived here for several years. But I've also done what I call the Texas tour. I've lived in Dallas, Houston area, and the Austin area. And I like all parts of Texas. But I've also lived in other countries. I've lived in Belgium for about 4 months, and then the Netherlands for about 6 years, 5, 6 years. But I enjoy Texas because of the weather. And so when I decided to move back to the US, I decided to make Houston my home again.
That was the obvious choice, right? And
Yes.
Houston is one of the most international cities in the US, together with New York or Washington. So, how, in your perspective, does it position Houston as a center for legal education in the US and in the world?
Yeah, well, the fact that Houston is such an international city, I think it helps to well position Houston as a great place and a great legal market. There are so many positive qualities about Houston, including the fact that there are so many law firms here. There are thousands of law firms here. It is the energy capital of the world. We have the NASA, the Space Center here in the greater Houston area. We also have a world-class medical center here and all types of entertainment, sports teams. You know, it's a great place, a great city that really has everything. And I think what also positions it so well in the international legal market is the fact that our neighbors are, Mexico and South America. So it's really kind of a corridor to South America. So I think it's a great place if you are interested in doing any type of international law, which almost every type of law is in some way these days is international or has some international context.
Last week, I've heard from one lawyer here that we have 6,000 Spanish-speaking lawyers in Texas, which is great. And I do think we can compete with Miami in this sense. But what's the University of Houston mission? How does it align with this international character of Houston?
Yes, no, absolutely. The mission of the University of Houston Law Center is to produce practice-ready lawyers. Okay, that's the main goal of the Law Center. But in addition to that, especially when we look at our Master of Laws program, we are really focused on developing transnational lawyers. And that's lawyers that can operate not just in the US, but can operate in other countries around the world. Because of the close relationship that we have with Mexico and South America, we really also look to develop transnational lawyers, lawyers that can speak English and Spanish. But what's so unique about the program at the University of Houston Law Center is that we have so many international students that speak many different languages, not just Spanish and English, but we cover many European languages, Italian, French, German. There are many different languages that are spoken by our students. And so we are not just focused on our Spanish-speaking countries, but we're also focused on all of the different languages really around the world.
And actually, the next question coming from this multiplicity of languages, how do you think Houston can compete with New York or Washington as centers, well-known centers of legal education?
Oh, well, I think Houston is well positioned to compete with those other cities. And I really shouldn't say compete because I really feel that Houston is kind of a unique place on its own. We have incredible schools here, including the University of Houston. Um, and and so anyone that gets an education here is getting a world-class education. We are a top law school. We have top programs in energy law, international law, intellectual property and information law, health law, and tax law, and also a program specifically for foreign lawyers in US law. So we have a top program, we're a top institution, and I think in a world-class city.
And also the question about the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I lived in Paris and London, and Houston is surprisingly less expensive.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit more about how can student can they get any grants, or what's general cost of living, cost of education for foreign lawyers, for instance, for LLM and JD, and are there any helps? How can they use it?
Yes, no, absolutely. So the cost of living in Houston is Houston is one of the lower cost of living cities for a major city in the US. We're very proud of that. And likewise, the the tuition cost at the University of Houston Law Center is very competitive. And I know people really like to know specifics, so I will let them know the
Yes, please,
specifics.
please tell us specifics.
Yes. So the cost of the 24 credit hour program at the University of Houston Law Center, the Master of Laws program, is about 47,000 US dollars. With anyone that applies to our program will be considered for a scholarship. And if they receive any scholarship money, then they will also be eligible for the in-state tuition waiver. And that waiver allows them to receive tuition at the in-state rate.
And what's the in-state rate?
Yes, the in-state rate reduces the cost by about 1/3. So instead of paying about 47,000, excuse me, instead of paying about 46 or 47,000 US dollars, they end up paying around 35 thousand US dollars.
And also question not for foreign students, but for instance, for US local students who want to do an LLM, get specialized in some area of law. Can they get a loan, or how does it work? Because I've never tried it, so I don't really know. And I think our audience will really use this information.
Yes, well, so we don't handle actually, that part of the financing of the schooling, but many of our foreign lawyers are able to get personal loans. There are institutions or organizations that specifically cater to foreign lawyers or that are interested in doing a master's program to help them get a loan to cover their educational expenses at a reasonable interest rate.
And also speaking about the cost of living and the possibility to work at the same time that study, can foreign lawyers work part-time when they're doing an LLM, or it's not allowed?
Well, it really just depends on their status here in the U.S.
Mhm.
If they are allowed to work, then absolutely they can work part-time. We quite honestly, even had students that work full-time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know it's a lot,
I don't
but
know how they do that.
I know I don't either. But work and then but they fit their classes in. But I think part of the reason why they're able to have that kind of flexibility is because our program is very flexible. So we have day classes, but we also offer a lot of night classes and some online classes as well. So that's how they're able to kind of fit them in at a time that's more convenient for them.
And how does it work? So the student, when the student starts this year of the LLM, let's start from the
Mhm.
beginning. So
Yeah.
when does it start? Do they require some English language learning beforehand? And then how do they choose these credits you were talking about?
Yes. Well, so first of all, to apply to the University of Houston Law Center, we utilize LSAC, this LSAC .org. So it's kind of a clearinghouse or, where they can put in their information one place and then select the schools that they want to apply to. And in this case, they would select University of Houston. And so in that process, they have to provide certain information, resume, letters of recommendation, complete the application information. But they also need to provide their English proficiency exam information. And we accept TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo.
Oh, wow, Duolingo.
Yes, we do. Yes,
That's
yes.
very modern.
Right. Yes, and so in providing that information, then they will have met or they complete the application process. We review the applications once accepted, and we do acceptance on a rolling basis. But for our foreign lawyers, they can only start the program in the fall because there are two required courses. And those courses are only offered in the fall. That's legal writing and intro to American law.
These are very useful courses for the foreign lawyers because
Yes,
it's completely different from other systems.
yes, absolutely. So they would start the program in the fall. There are certain dedicated FLLM courses or foreign lawyer courses that we provide that are bar specific courses. So and we set up certain foreign lawyer only classes in bar subjects to absolutely ensure that our foreign trained lawyers will be able to get into the coveted bar courses. So the 24 credit hours can be divided however the individual wants. Someone might want to complete the program on a slower pace or at a slower pace. So they may decide to take one or two courses at a time. Someone may decide that they want to do a faster pace, and maybe they take 12 or 14 credit hours in a single semester. And so you can mix it. You can do 12 and 12 to equal to 24, or 10 and 14 to equal to 24. So however you mix it, it is totally fine. We also, within my area, global and graduate programs, we monitor a student as they're going through to ensure that the student is getting the classes and that they need in order to complete their program. We do a regular semester by semester audit of the classes that are being taken. And so they would start in the fall, but there is a class, a one credit class in US legal skills that is actually offered. It's a 1 week class that starts it starts immediately after orientation. Orientation is always the first consecutive Thursday and Friday of August.
Mm-hmm.
And then that U.S. legal skills class starts that next week. And it's really a good orientation class into how law is taught in the U.S. and gives them kind of the basics so that students get off to a really good start. And then a couple of weeks later, they're starting into their regular classes. And the semester goes on with through the end of November, and then final exam period is the 2 weeks immediately following that. And then we have winter break. Spring semester starts back around the third week of January through the end of April, with the 2 weeks following that being the exam period. And then graduation is held in May, usually around the third week.
Can, for instance, if somebody chooses the LLM in US law, can they change this direction somehow through the year, or they should choose this LLM in exact law and they cannot change it after? How does it work?
That's a very good question. So, so students are always able to adjust their program. But what I would suggest is that, first of all, if a student wants to take classes in another area, there is flexibility already in the program, because there's 2 required courses, that's 6 credit hours. And then there's professional responsibility. So even given the required classes, a student still has, well, and then the 9 credit hours of bar specific courses that must be taken in order to meet the requirements to sit for the bar exam. But even with all of that, there's at least 6 credit hours that where a student can decide on taking whatever class they want across any of the disciplines. So, so there is flexibility. But then the other possibility is that if someone wants to, say, do a program in US law, but they also want to focus on energy, maybe they decide to do a dual program. They can do 2 master's programs at the same time, and they can complete them both in less time, less cost. It's not the 48 credit hours. Instead, it's around 36. It depends on the program. But they can, and we have had students complete that in 3 semesters.
That's an amazing opportunity.
Yes.
Let's talk about the bar, because I know our audience, they should, at least everybody knows that New York bar is accessible for LLM students, for those who completed LLM, that California's bar is accessible for lawyers qualified in other places. So what about Texas? Tell us more about how to become a lawyer in Texas.
Well, I want to be clear about this one. Texas allows foreign lawyers to sit for the bar exam. So, so I want to be very clear about that, because everyone knows about New York.
Exactly.
Everyone knows about California, but they always forget or are not aware of
Probably
Texas.
we should talk about that more and let people know that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, so in order to be eligible, one route to be eligible to sit for the Texas bar exam is to take an LLM program like the one at the University of Houston Law Center that is specifically that specifically meets the Texas Board of Law Examiner criteria in order to prepare students to sit for the bar exam. So, so we are a qualified program, if you will.
I have a question about the bar. So it's not a common knowledge, but it seems like Texas will not will not need the accreditation by the American Bar Association anymore for the legal programs. Could you please explain us what happened? How does it influence the legal education in Texas in general? How does it influence the future bar exams or admissions of lawyers not qualified in Texas, but qualified in other states.
Okay, well, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's why we have this webinar, so we can ask you everything.
Yes. Well, okay. Well, first of all, Master of Laws programs um, uh, uh, are not governed, if you will, by the American Bar Association. Okay, that's really JD programs, first law degrees in the U.S. So, so really, whatever's going on with the American Bar Association, it really does not affect the Master of Laws programs. So, as far as if whether anything's changing or anything like that, not with regards to the Master of Laws programs. Now, if you're talking about, a law school being accredited, under the American Bar Association, I think right now, because some of the discussions and the changes are really new, I don't think anyone's really making any major changes to how law schools operate. I think the American Bar Association criteria requirements are so ingrained in schools that are accredited through the American Bar Association that I don't see anything changing immediately. So, so as far as Master of Laws programs, there really shouldn't be any impact because the American Bar Association doesn't directly accredit, if you will, the Masters of Laws programs.
But what will be the impact on JD?
That I'm not sure. That I can't really speak to. I think a lot of it needs to still be figured out. I really don't think a whole lot of people are going to make immediate changes right now.
Thank you. It's very important to know that because a lot of people ask questions about the ABA, and then it seems like it doesn't really affect the foreign lawyers. So it's great.
Yeah.
And as we started talking about the JD, tell us more about this dual possibility that you offer, LLM and JD.
Oh, well, now, as far as JD LLM, we do have a JD LLM program, but that is for students that have been accepted to our 3-year JD program who decide that they want to also do an LLM. They can do the 2 degrees at the same time for less cost and in a shorter amount of time. But you have to go through the whole process of being accepted into the JD program, which quite honestly is a lot more stringent of a process. It requires you to also take the LSAT. And so there are other requirements as well. And I'd have to, I'm not sure the exact acceptance rate, but I know that the acceptance rate for the JD program at University of Houston Law Center is a lot lower than our Master of Laws program.
I have some friends here in Houston who did the LLM, but also then did the JD, and they so to become, as they say, fully qualified in America. Even if when you do an LLM and pass the bar exam, you're already qualified. That should be clear. So what would you recommend? Would you recommend anybody to do the JD instead of LLM? How can people choose between the two?
Well, and that is a really good question. It's something that comes up a fair amount because it is a very difficult decision. I think it really depends on the individual and the goals of the individual. If somebody really wants to be able to practice law in the sense of they're looking to get with a big law firm, and they really want to do the in-court practice and all of that, then I can see the value of going through the JD process. But the individual would have to have the time, the money, and really the just
The
energy and
desire
desire.
to restart it.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
because it's a lot to it. It's a lot involved, especially when you're talking about our Master of Law students, who tend to have already had incredible careers as lawyers and judges and professors in their home countries or in other countries around the world. And often they're coming to the US to continue their professional lives in some capacity. And so for them, a Master of Laws is really the better choice because that's a 1 year kind of disruption, if you will. And it still allows them to practice because they already have all of that practice experience. And it gives them a great opportunity to be able to engage in a network really quickly, because that's the other very positive thing about an LLM program. Because the individuals are a little bit older, and it just opens up a wonderful network through the professors and through other students. Doing the JD program, typically in the US, JD students tend to be younger. They're typically pretty freshly, most of them, not all, are pretty freshly out of their undergraduate programs and have little to no, real professional experience. So that's kind of the difference. It really just depends on what it is that the individual wants and needs.
And as I understand, I've seen several examples where the lawyers with an LLM from University of Houston Law Center
Yes.
have ended in big law firms.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not the requirement to have a
Right.
JD to end up in a big law firm, I
Oh,
think.
no, absolutely. And that's the other thing. I know a lot of our students, they want to know how, in the LLM program, the Master of Laws program, they make comments like, how do I compete with US JD student? And I always tell them, you don't.
Exactly.
You don't compete with them because you're on totally different playing fields.
Exactly.
A foreign lawyer comes in with such incredible experience, and like I said, have typically practiced in some capacity in their home country or some other country. And they bring so many unique things to the table, such as multiple languages, the ability to work in a international context, that a lot of firms, that's what they're looking for. And so it really is all about networking and finding that right fit. But rarely is that right fit for a foreign lawyer going to be competing for the entry-level attorney job that a JD student is really going for. But if that is what the foreign lawyer wants to do, then it's kind of like wiping the slate clean, then go for the JD.
Thank you so much. Let's go back to all the different industries Houston is home to.
Oh, yes.
Because a lot of people, when they speak about Houston, and myself, when I speak about Houston, I speak a lot about the energy. But as you said, we have so many other industries. So can you just tell us, for instance, what are the possibilities for foreign lawyers after an LLM to find their place in any of this industry? And what are the exact LLM specializations that you offer?
Yes, yes. Well, Houston is home to many incredible industries. Energy, obviously, but then also aerospace, There's incredible universities here. So there's also academia, government. There's
Medicine, as you said.
Yes, health. Yes, the health industry with the medical center here. And then also corporations. We have so many Fortune 500 companies located right here in Houston and the greater Houston area. So there are just a myriad of opportunities. Actually, Houston has been recognized as a top legal market in the US, especially for lawyers that are entering the market, because there are so many different industries here. And we provide programs that support all of them. We have a master's program, Masters of Law, LLM, in international law, energy, environment, and natural resources law, tax law, health law, and intellectual property and information
even
law.
intellectual property.
Yes,
information.
yes. And then the program in US law for foreign lawyers. But with all of those programs, we also have a very strong concentration in corporate law. So, but a lot of students that want that program, they'll take the international law LLM program and take our corporate law, commercial, transactional law types of courses. And we have one of the most extensive course offerings in the country. We even offer space law.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yes.
That's impressive. And how does the law center help the students after the LLM? Are there any job fairs, anything available for the students?
Yes, well, absolutely. We have a career development office, the CDO office, and there is a dedicated LLM representative, LLM advisor in that office specifically for our LLM students. They can meet with that advisor, talk about what it is that they're looking for. They can do mock interviews. They will review and help with resumes. And the wonderful thing about the CDO office is that once you're a graduate of the University of Houston Law Center, you can utilize that office for life. So even if 5, 10, 20 years from now, you decide, wait a minute, I want to make a shift, you can contact the CDO office and they will help. They also utilize our vast alumni network to identify positions, to find opportunities, and there are just a lot of resources, one-on-one. There's also a lot of fairs that we offer throughout the year for all of our students with law firms, corporations, government. There's JAG that comes here.
What is JAG?
It is, let me see if I can get the acronym right, but it is the attorneys for the military is basically what yes. So there are many opportunities throughout the year. And we always encourage Master of Law students to jump right in there and get involved early, take advantage of all of the programs and offerings, because with the Masters of Law program, typically our students are in that program for 2 semesters, sometimes 3, but it's a very short amount of time and it goes very quickly.
I know that there's the International Law Students Association as well.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us more about this one,
Yes.
the association?
Yes, the International Law Students Association is an affinity type of group where we engage our students that have international backgrounds or are internationally minded. And it's an opportunity for students to get together, to network, to fellowship, if you will, and it allows them also an opportunity to hear from alumni that have been in their shoes. We also bring in guest speakers such as yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, and that was, yeah, wonderful presentation. And it allows our students to be exposed to different individuals within the across industries.
And I know also that there are several conferences the
Yes.
University of Houston organizes. Probably you can tell us more about the conferences or events scheduled this
Mhm.
year. If any of our audience happens to be in Houston, they can come and attend.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we have many conferences and activities, events that go on at the University of Houston Law Center. That includes things like the Supreme Court doing oral arguments, hosting their oral arguments here at the Law Center in the John M. O'Quinn Law Building. We also have a regular energy conference that's offered each year. There are things that go on all year, specifically within the global and graduate programs area that I'm responsible for. We have programs that are both online and in person. And so we have our Legal English Certificate program, and that occurs in March, and then we offer it again in June. And that is a short course, if you will, it's 4 weeks intensive, fully online for international students that might just want a little bit of information and insight on how on the law in the US. Or maybe it's for someone who wants to start an LLM program, so they want to, just kind of get a sense of what it might be about. So that program is offered again in March and June. Then I also have coming up it's a symposium. It is a sports law and USMCA symposium. It is from kickoff to consensus, the 2026 FIFA World Cup and North American cross-border cooperation. So that is coming up in March 13th and 14th. We have an incredible program that we're putting together that will celebrate the FIFA World Cup in North America. For the first time, all three countries involved, US, Canada, and Mexico. And looking forward to that. We have people coming in from Europe and Asia, and it's shaping up to be an incredible program.
That sounds like an amazing event, especially that we are hosting the World Cup here in Houston. We are so proud of that.
It's very exciting. And there's a lot of wonderful discussions that we're going to have relative to that. Now, there's also and this might be of particular interest to your audience, the International Arbitration Certificate Program. And that is taking place June 8th through 12th. So we are currently in the process of registering individuals for that program. It's a 1-week intensive international arbitration program that is taught primarily by Anne Ryan Robertson, who is an incredible individual, attorney in arbitration, has an incredible background. And then we're bringing in a lot of speakers for that program as well, including yourself.
Yes, that's right. So we advise everybody to look at this program and register if you want to have more, deepen your knowledge in arbitration.
Yes.
And Houston is a great place to be here in summer.
Yes.
Maybe also visit some soccer games.
Right, yes.
Well, it sounds amazing, all these programs you're organizing. So, can you say what's your vision for the future for the University of Houston graduate programs in law? How do you envision the development? Do you have any areas you want to improve, or in any areas you want to continue? So tell us about your vision of the future.
Yes, yes. Well, when I first started at the University of Houston Law Center in this role about 7 years ago. I remember during the interview process, and this has been repeated many times after, but one of the things that Dean Baines mentioned is that one of his goals was to expand the global footprint of the University of Houston Law Center. And so the past 7 years, that has been a key focus of mine, really reaching out into the international community in Houston, around Houston, and around the world to bring attention to let people know about the incredible programs that are offered here at the University of Houston Law Center. So when I look to the future, that is what a lot of the work for me really focuses around. How do I continue to expand that global footprint? How do I continue to bring in and expose that international global network and opportunities so that we not only share our views from a legal and institutional standpoint, but also we're getting all of those wonderful perspectives from people internationally from around the world, because that bringing international people here and gaining those international perspectives helps to develop the law center. Just it helps to build a stronger law school by incorporating those different perspectives, and not just law school, but also community, and then country, and ultimately world.
That's a great vision, Karen. I really love it. And now we can move to my favorite part of the webinar, when I ask people about their favorite places in Houston. So tell us about your favorite restaurants in Houston.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm really bad because I love to cook.
Oh, that's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
That means that you're good, not bad.
Well, okay. Well, I like it. But my favorite restaurant. So once I find a restaurant, then I tend to kind of stick with that restaurant a lot. So, but I have there's a few that are kind of on my go-to list, and one is Flower Child.
Oh, it's very healthy food.
Yeah, I
right?
tend to do that. Yes. And then another one is Kin D Thai, another one in the Heights. And one I just discovered, I just tried them for the first time about 2-3 weeks ago. Esther's Soul Food Restaurant.
What kind of food is that?
Yeah, it's soul food, like Southern cooking.
Oh,
Yes,
I see. That's very Houstonian, by the way.
That's
Southern
right.
cooking.
Yes, yeah. So those are three of my now kind of go-to places. And I'm sure I've left something off the
But
list.
what if you have the guests from the outside of the city? Where will you bring them?
Oh, goodness. What is that called? Uh, uh, Traveler's Table.
Travel Stable.
Really good one too.
Interesting. Where's that located?
That's in Montrose, I think.
Montrose.
area. And the thing is that Houston has so many incredible restaurants. You can find just about any type of cuisine here. And Michelin star restaurants. And I mean, just you can eat at a different restaurant every day of the year if you want.
Yes, and never
and enjoy
repeat.
every day.
That's right. That's right. So if our audience want to know more information about the University of Houston Law Center programs, where can they find this information?
Yes, well, on our website at law.uh.edu/LLM. That's the best place to find as much information that you want on University of Houston Law Center LLM programs and in general
and
the
other
law center.
programs.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Karen. So we will be on the YouTube channel of Houston Place of Arbitration, but we are also now on Spotify and Apple as a podcast. Houston, we have a solution. So if you want to share it with your friends or colleagues and learn more, for them to learn more about Houston, University of Houston Law Center, please find us and you can listen to this episode and all others. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you.